Yep. Hello and welcome to episode 61 of the Football Retro Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny, and today I'm joined by Darcy and Fadi. How you going, guys?
No Akram today.
No Akram today.
Yeah, it feels different.
Feels better.
There's going to be less fighting, less arguing, just a happier table today.
Less tension.
I don't want to call it tension, it's just shit talk. Bit of bullshit.
Yep.
Statistics on his part.
Yeah.
Are you guys going all right after the big final this last couple of days?
Yeah, didn't get to watch the game. Obviously, the time of day is not convenient. We're talking about AFCON, obviously, the African Cup of Nations final. But
Oh, sorry, I was talking about the futsal, Copa America futsal final.
Oh, I wouldn't have known about it if you didn't mention it.
Now the African final, obviously.
yeah, but I did see the highlights, and obviously two big teams. Egypt synonymous with winning the African Cup of Nations. That they really made themselves well known for performing well in that tournament. I personally tipped them to go all the way. Surprisingly, considering they had a couple of poor performances, especially against Nigeria. They were written off a lot by people back home, but they did well. At the end of the day, it was penalties, so could have really went either way.
Yeah, look, I think Egypt were getting better as the tournament went on. They struggled in the group stage, but then they beat Ivory Coast and they beat Morocco and they beat Cameroon, the host nation, in the semi-final. So they just had a solid lineup. I think they weren't anything flashy, but they just worked well as a team. And but I was happy for Senegal, their first African Nations title. They run it up in 2002 and in the last one, the previous one in 2019 against Algeria. So the first one they've ever won.
We've got the Senegal colours here.
Yeah.
Well, technically, they can be Cameroon
or Mali.
Ghana, Mali.
Yeah, I think we have to get a start. But anyway, we get the point.
We got the Senegal colours here, all right? We're representing the champions of Africa. Senegal. And we've got Mendy, who was obviously a big...
Yeah, another trophy for him. He's had a big past year or so. I
don't rate African keepers, but anyway.
He can't say anything bad against him.
Big in the shootout. I mean, that save.
Egypt's keeper got man of the match.
Yeah, he actually was in the tournament. He came in he was second choice or third choice, and he came in and he was immense.
Well, Mendy did win the Champions League best keeper by FIFA, voted by FIFA.
UEFA, was it?
I'm not sure. UEFA, he won the Super Cup. He won the African Cup.
And Mane as well. He missed a penalty in the first 5 minutes of the game.
He did miss the penalty in normal time. And, Speaking of penalties, crazy because I don't understand this concept. Like, if you notice, Egypt, Salah didn't take a penalty. Obviously, they saved him for the fifth penalty.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense because by that point, as we've seen, you could have lost the shootout already. Yeah. One or two misses and you're already under pressure.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why you wouldn't let your star player who would take a penalty. There's no way that Salah wouldn't be taking a penalty.
Do you think it's a fifth penalty option pressure, let the big players come in? Or is it more of like, I want to score the winner, highlights?
I don't think it's his.
Is it that ego thing, or is it more of a...
I don't think it's an ego thing. He is a very humble player, but I think it's more like, he's the star, they put that expectation on him. He'd be able to handle that pressure sort of thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a catch-22 because it could backfire.
Yeah.
You need to rely on your other penalty takers to score. That's one thing. Two, if the other team misses a couple of penalties, you may not even get to take yours because if your players score. So
it worked in the semi-final. They won 3-1 against Cameroon in the shootout. They didn't need him to take one. But this one, ended up being his Liverpool teammate. That was the fifth penalty kick take, and he won it for him.
Yeah,
Cristiano's usually fifth option. That's an ego thing.
I think that's definitely an ego thing. Cristiano would like to be obviously last, take the accolades, score the winning penalty. The cameras will be on you. Your teammates will run to you and celebrate because you just scored it.
Take your shirt off.
It's more that sort of thing for me. But I mean, look, if Salah takes the first or second penalty, makes a difference. He wouldn't be the regular penalty taker, I would assume, but he would definitely be in the top three penalty takers because in the first three penalties, regardless, you still have an option. Unless you miss all three, you would still have a chance. Like, he would definitely be taking a third penalty at least.
Yeah.
A topic for a different day, but are we okay with a penalty shootout defining a match? Is there another way that we can look into defining a match?
No.
But once again, let's leave the discussion for another episode.
Short answer, no.
I know that Fadi really wants to talk about episode 69 coming up.
We mentioned it before. When you said episode 61, I misheard you. And I thought you said 69, and I'm like, what? Episode 69?
So 69 should be a special one. Maybe we'll have like Adam Johnson and Mason Greenwood.
Benjamin
It's
Mendy.
definitely gonna be an interesting episode. But
On that note, I think we should get started. So let's officially get the show on the road.
get it on the road.
Welcome to the Football Retro Podcast.
The word welcome, I guess, is stretching it a little when you're an Australian in a place like this today.
Welcome back. So today, big topic, one that we've done before. It's a fun one. It's a shame that Akram's not here because he always disagrees with whatever we say.
I don't think it's a shame at all. I think it's actually great because we can flow through the episode without people interjecting for no reason, even when there's a valid point made by everyone on the table. So I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it tonight.
Obviously, we're talking about player comparisons.
Interesting.
Okay, and obviously one that we haven't done before, players that we haven't done before, players we haven't spoken about before, but there are some tough comparisons in there. It's sometimes it'll be hard comparing different eras, or some players may be slightly out of position, but for the sake of argument, let's look at a few players and say, okay, which one would you choose? Which one would you have in your team? Who's better overall? Once again, it comes down to opinion, but I think between the three of us, having an odd number, we'll make a decision for
Unless
each
we
one.
all agree on the
I
same.
like these. I like these player comparisons because it's endless. You could come up with so many, combinations of players that you'd need to compare. I personally prefer the era ones.
Yeah.
Because when they're in a similar era, it's very easy to just say, "Oh yeah, this player."
They're
I
playing
like
against the same players. So.
Yeah. But when you're comparing a player from two different eras or two players from two different eras, it makes it that much more difficult. Which is where the fun part is, because you can argue a million things.
Is it difficult or is it unfair? Is it unfair to compare players from different eras? Because
Look, it depends how far back you're going. Like if you're talking about Pele in the 60s and someone now, you're going to say football's changed, technology's changed, footballs are easier to kick, for example. They'll swerve more.
Rules.
You can score more. You're more inclined to score goals now than you did then. Like the balls were harder then. Just different things.
Rules.
so, for example, Pele compared to Cristiano now,
Very
it'd be
hard.
impossible to
Very
compare.
very hard. But when you're talking about, a current player, an active player and someone 10 years ago, I think it's still reasonable.
Yeah.
Even 20 years ago, I think even late 90s,
Probably.
it's still fair.
Yeah.
Around that time, but I think if you got 2 decades or more back, it's going to be a bit difficult.
Yeah.
So let's start off
Well,
with.
technically, it's 2 decades back to 2000 now. So we're in
Wow.
2022.
Jeez, time's flying quick.
Let's start off with an African comparison. Since we're on the topic,
AFCON.
since we're on the topic of the Africans, possibly we said, who did you vote as the greatest African of all time in that episode? The African episode?
Well, it came down to 2 players, and we said Samuel Eto'o and Yaya Toure.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of support for Yaya Toure for what he's achieved and the top complete player that he is. Samuel Eto'o statistically is the greatest African player of all time because his statistics just stack up. No one can come close.
Yeah.
Well, let's compare Samuel Etoo and Didier Drogba. 2 strikers, similar eras.
Yep.
Both winning Champions Leagues, both playing in big clubs, both being world famous. Both, I believe, have won African Player of the Year at one point or another. Is that right?
Yeah, they would have.
Yes.
Yeah, they did.
Samuel Eto'o, I think, got the record for
The most.
African Player of the Year. I think 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Drogba, I think, would have won it a couple of times. So, again, Eto'o's ahead in that regard. But this is the fun thing here. We're dissecting more than just statistics. It's more about
The type of player.
type of player they are. How they stacked up, how they came up in big games or big moments,
So,
how they perform for their team.
Yeah.
so the final question I'm going to ask, we'll go into a bit of analysis now, but the final question I'm going to ask is, we've got 10 players, 1 spot left as a striker, Drogba or Etoo. That's what we're going to be deciding in about 1 or
Depends
2
what
minutes.
team it is.
Yeah.
Let's pretend you're playing with 4-4-2 with Bergkamp up front, and then
Fuck this guy. He was going to some
Bergkamp is
bullshit.
the
man.
false nine.
dickhead.
so someone to support Bergkamp. There you have Drogba or Etoo as an example. So let's compare. First of all, let's compare stats. Let's compare numbers. Etoo, 587 games, 587 and 293 goals. 293 goals.
Yeah,
that's a good stat.
That's more than
About
50%.
One every 2 games for a striker. It's a good stat, and almost 600 games as well. So What do you?
I would take Etoo. I just think he was that bit more, that could do a bit more. A player like Drogba was.
I haven't
really,
got to that point yet. I haven't got to that.
But-
What do you think of Etoo's career?
Oh, sorry, spoiler alert.
He's gone to.
career is like
He's gone to Barca. He's gone to Inter. He's
Oh.
gone to Chelsea. Mallorca.
Incredible. He won one of the only players to win 2 trebles 2 years in a row. With Barcelona in 2009, and then the year later with Inter in Mourinho.
Yeah, that's right. That's crazy.
And just influential, just amazing career.
Etoo's a great poacher. Whenever you needed a goal, he stepped up. Even scrappy goals, he was just there. Right place, right time.
Yeah.
He could always poach a goal for you.
I forgot he went to Everton.
Did he?
It was towards the end of his
I didn't
career.
even know
After
that.
Chelsea.
Yeah, it was towards the end.
I'd probably been washed up then.
I remember Etoo playing in Sydney at the Olympics in 2000 as a 20-year-old and leading Cameroon to gold.
He was
In
Real
that
Madrid. No,
epic-
he was Mallorca then.
Mallorca. Yeah, he
Part of-
was at Real for a bit and came through the youth team, and then
He belonged
Just,
to Real Madrid.
yeah.
Was on loan to
Yeah.
Mallorca.
just unfortunately the board didn't see that he had a future at the club. So and look, but
That's crazy.
it's one
No
of those
one
players- no
knows
one
that he
knows.
was there at Real Madrid.
we can talk about a lot of players that were let go at a young age and then they went on to
Yeah,
do good things.
he made his
So,
debut at Real Madrid.
Yeah,
Only played 3 games
I
for
don't
them.
recall that at all.
I don't think
But
anyone
he was
knows.
that.
hardly.
97.
Yeah,
that's
very young.
That's probably why.
17 at the time.
And Drogba, obviously playing for a few French teams before Chelsea snapped him up. I know Man United wanted him as well at one stage.
yeah.
497 games, 210 goals. So obviously, the average is a bit less than Etoo, but some big goals
Yeah.
there for Chelsea, especially.
I think with Drogba, I feel like he was a late bloomer, not late bloomer, but he kind of came
Late-ish.
onto the stage around in his mid-20s. I think it was at Marseille in 2003 when I first saw him
Mhm.
play, and then he had that good year with them, and then Chelsea snapped him up. Mourinho's
Yeah.
first year.
The
So-
story with that goes is that Chelsea played Marseille in the Champions League, and Mourinho approached him and said, "I want you to play for me," and he said something along the lines of like, "Oh, you've got to come get me."
It
something.
was Porto when Mourinho was at Porto.
A Porter, that's
Yeah,
right. You've
yeah.
got to come get me or something like that. And
Yeah.
Mourinho never forgot him, and obviously took him with him to Chelsea. Took him
Yeah.
at Chelsea. And yeah, that's when that era of domination for Chelsea in the Premier League was. You know, that Abramovich era.
Yeah,
Drogba was part of that project, and all those star players coming in. And
yeah,
he really flourished at Chelsea. I believe he came into his own.
yeah.
He developed his style.
Yeah.
Big, strong attacker, strong in the air, explosive.
Strong to holding up the ball as well. Yeah,
So
He's such a big idol and hero at Chelsea because obviously the Champions League final.
yeah,
But 226 games, 100 goals is not. It's a good average, but it's not the best we've seen from a striker, especially when you're comparing it to the Lewandowski's of today, the Mbappe's, the Cristianos, the Messi's.
yeah.
100 goals in 226 games is not the greatest, but important goals, big goals.
Yeah.
FA Cup finals,
Yeah.
Champions League finals. Obviously, he's
Big,
remembered as a hero.
big game player, I think it was. And I still remember like that time that I was at Chelsea, you had a lot of players coming and going. So you had a lot of competition up front. You know, how many players did they sign? How many players
Yeah.
did they go? So
Is that the
Yeah.
Crespo, Shevchenko's?
yeah, a lot of players came and went.
Mateo Kesman was there, I remember,
Oh,
and
Kesman.
Ido Johnson, and you know,
Johnson was there before.
it was there before. He
Yeah.
was still there at that time. So it's a lot of competition.
Johnson partnered up with Hasselbank up front
Yeah,
before.
Yeah, it was before him.
yeah,
Yeah, he had a lot
Um,
of players come through, but again, that was that era of Chelsea where they were just buying everyone up and just
Yeah.
trying to see what worked.
yeah.
surprisingly
until it
enough,
clicked.
he had a better one. Maybe not surprisingly if you know African football, but he had a better goal average for Ivory Coast. 65 goals in 105 games.
That was Ivory Coast as
Yeah.
well. They had a solid squad.
I remember
Um,
Argentina playing him in the 06 World Cup.
Yeah.
Did Etoo play in any World Cups?
Yeah, he played in. I think he was a youngster at France '98. He played in 2002 as well, and he may have played in 2010, but he was getting a bit old.
Okay.
And I think 2014, but he was really like aging at the time. He was
He
aging.
was like that. He was like that African player who is 17 but looks 40.
Oh yeah, in Serie A.
What was his fucking name? That guy.
Joseph something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
It looked like Montari.
Fucking hell, what a fucking fraud that is.
Oh jeez.
All right, you've got your 10. You got the goalkeeper 4-4, goalkeeper Fran, just for the sake of the argument
This
because
guy.
Fatty loves him. Do you take Drogba? Do you take Etoo? Both at the peak. Don't look at longevity of career, both at the peak, both at hot form. Which one would you prefer?
I mentioned before Etoo. Etoo for me.
I would have to go Etoo. I just feel Etoo is more a poacher, and he's not always going to score you a spectacular goal, which is not regular occurrence. No striker's always going to score spectacular goals. You also need to score scrappy ones, and I think Etoo does that.
You see, I think if we watch his game, he'd help out a lot in the midfield. He'd come back and track back and work. He played out on wide as well. So maybe he did play in the wing a few times, if I remember correctly. I remember that game played left back against Barcelona in that semi-final, the Champions League 2010. Mourinho
That's
put him as a
special.
defensive, they put him there to hold on to that lead, and
It worked.
it worked. It did work.
It worked.
Yeah.
Masterclass.
So I think we've got a 3-0 Etoo here.
Yeah, I think so.
As
Pretty,
much as obviously I love
Akram, what do you think? Drogba, okay.
Yeah.
Of course,
As
has to go
much-
against us.
Consolation goal.
Has to go against us. Of
Hey, he
course.
said more than last week so far.
Yeah. Because there's no international talk.
As much as I love Drogba, I think Etoo edges him on this
Yeah.
one. We can't
Yeah.
compare. I mean, you can compare. I'm saying you can't deny Etoo's class
Yeah.
when it comes to the
Mm.
front three, world-class strikers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Etoo wins this one.
Yeah.
A little bit closer to Dusty's heart, the next one, next comparison.
Ooh, here we go. I think I know some of it.
Fuck, here we go. Let's see what it is. Am I going to be completely out of this one?
I think I'm going to have a good argument here. It's the French against the Dutch. Benzema against Van Nistelrooy.
It's a tough one.
Why are
I'm,
we picking strikers here?
I'm a big
Hey.
fan of both, man.
And that's why it's going to be
Yeah,
tough.
exactly.
Fuck,
yeah.
And
this is
can I
tough.
tell you, it's not the toughest of the night. There's
This is
tougher
tough.
ones.
This is tough
Okay.
because I'm torn, and I'll
Yeah.
explain why. I'll explain
Why
I'm
are you torn?
Oh, you want me to go now?
Just go for it.
I personally, as a person, I hate Van Nistelrooy.
Because of the Arsenal incident?
Not just that incident, in general. Van Nistelrooy was that good a striker during that era of dominance between United and Arsenal, which is the early 2000s, that I just fucking hated him. I've developed a hatred for him I've developed this bias now that I can't shake. I just don't like it at all. And I'll try to find anything to show how shit he is, but his statistics prove otherwise.
He's a striker that you do hate as an opposition because he does nothing all game. He's fucking shit. So look how useless
When you
he
look
is.
at him, you think he's doing nothing.
He scores a hat trick.
Yeah.
He's the right place at the
He's
right
that
time.
type of player. He's that type of striker where he loses every touch. He's got a heavy touch. He can't string 3 passes. He's offside 7 times. The ball comes to him, he scores.
And his fucking horse head.
And so playing against him, you just
Annoying.
don't like him. In the edge of the box, he's got one eye. As a typical striker, one eye, standing for goals, and he scores.
He did score some bangers like from outside the box. So he had some crackers.
That's what I mean.
Not
Yeah.
as frequent though. Not as frequent as some other
No,
players.
it's not frequent,
It's
but
not
like
what he's known for. He's known
yeah,
for
poacher,
being,
like 6
being
yard box,
poaching, being in the right spot. That fucking,
Yeah.
cut, United playing to the edge of the box, cutting
Yeah.
it back. Van Nistelrooy's there,
Yeah.
tapping into an empty goal,
Yeah.
celebrating like a fucking loser. It's just synonymous. Like I just get the image of him when I get annoyed.
Yeah.
So Van Nistelrooy in total, 449 games, 249 goals. Above
It's good strike rate.
1 and 2.
Yeah.
Benzema obviously still active, still playing, but so far, according to reliable Wikipedia,
Here we go. Wikipedia that Akram edits on his own.
Real Madrid alone, 444 games, 209 goals. So again,
Yeah.
I mean, Leon only played 112 games with 43 goals.
Yeah, I think with Benzema, his goal scoring output was increased in the past 4 years since Cristiano Ronaldo left. But he still had a different role in the team at Real when Ronaldo was there, and still would get his goals every now and then. And but he had competition. I remember his first few years with Higuain. They were rotating at that time. That was a very good not partnership, but a good foil for each other. I think good. You have Higuain there. If not, you have Benzema. They work well together. So I think after 2018, though, he's really stepped up his goal output. And without his goals, Real would be struggling.
87 players, also he's 35 this year.
Yeah, but he's keeping himself well.
What did he come in the Ballon d'Or race? 4th, wasn't he?
Yeah, about 4th.
That's a great
There was a big
achievement.
case
It's
for him
great
to win it this year, but I think.
But you and Akram.
No.
I was going
I was
to
gonna
say, who
I
put this case
said
forward?
Jorginho, and I went on his marketing campaign.
Fuck,
But,
I didn't hear about this case.
I think Benzema's issues last year didn't win a trophy, except the Nations League.
There's rumors that Adas is starting a petition for Perez to be able to win a Ballon d'Or.
He'll make his own.
He wants Perez to win some sort of award and recognition for his work in football.
Hey, fair enough.
That's off topic.
Benzema scores some really good goals. The quality of his goals are good. Like
Skill, so skillful.
Like if I had to compare him and Van Nistelrooy on the quality of their goals, Benzema hands down. Forget about my bias.
Yeah.
Benzema's quality of his goals, technically, I feel like he's a technically far superior player than Van Nistelrooy.
I may be wrong here, but look, Van Nistelrooy's got one goal every 2 games for Netherlands.
Yeah.
70 games, 35 goals. I don't remember scoring any important ones. I don't remember him scoring much or doing much for the Dutch team. Once again, this is just my memory. Your memory is much, much better than mine. And yet Benzema, the little time, they restricted time, I should say, that he had in the French team, and the last Euros was an example of it.
Yeah.
He does have an impact on the national team as well.
He does. I mean, you see the way he plays. He's not like, I think he's different to Van Nistelrooy. He's not always in the box. And he's always tracking back, holding up the ball. You see his game. And I think a lot of Real Madrid fans complain that he doesn't get in the box too much. He needs to get in there more, because many times the cross comes in, he's not there at the end of it. Yeah. He's improved that now, but like there was times where it was very frustrating. But I can't fault his contribution. Like 14 years at the club, still going. I mean, but it's amazing.
It's not like you can't say, he hasn't had much of an impact on the national team. That's his fault for being a rapist. Like fucking.
I said restricted. No, I said Benzema has had a good when he was there, when he wasn't blackmailing his teammates or raping anyone.
That's his fault. That's not the.
I'm saying when he was there, he was he's an impact player. I mean,
but Adasi will say that it's Deschamps' fault.
Of course, not Benzema's fault.
It's a topic for another day, but
it's never Real Madrid's player's fault. If Perez went and started shooting range and started killing everyone, it was the gun's fault.
Benzema made some.
The gun laws in Spain.
Benzema made some silly decisions in his career, but
silly.
Yeah,
I want to call raping someone being silly.
Rape.
Is he a pedophile as well?
Do you remember the Super League episode? How hard Darcy tried to defend Perez.
where we discovered his love for Florentino Perez.
It was the most at that point in time. Perez was the most hated man on earth, and Darcy was concerned about his welfare.
I like in movies and wrestling. I like the villains. So,
There you go.
Did you like the black and white NWO back in wrestling?
Oh yeah, the good old days.
Hulk Hogan. All right.
See how he had to concede because Akram wasn't there to back him up? He had to just be honest and say,
he called Perez the villain.
Yeah, he said, I like the villain in the movies.
There you go.
Akram would have made some bullshit spin about how the fuck, it's not the case and we're biased somehow and all this shit.
All right. You've got your 10 players. You're missing a striker. Same scenario. Do you put Van Nistelrooy up there or do you put Benzema?
Look, Van Nistelrooy's record's amazing. As much as I hate the guy, but as I said, the thing that would change it for me, I feel like Benzema can create something special, like an Henry. I don't feel Van Nistelrooy can create something special. Van Nistelrooy needs good service. Benzema can make something without good service. So I would pick Benzema.
Darcy.
Yeah, look, I'm a big fan of both, but if I had to pick one, I'm going to say Benzema. I think as well, he's got that extra bit of skill in him. That skill set is amazing. We're underrated.
I'm gonna go Benzema as well.
Right,
He's also a leader.
He is.
That's when he's not blackmailing his teammates. he wears the captain's armband. He leads on the field, and I think when Ramos left, because Cristiano wasn't a leader, he wasn't a captain. When Ramos left, he left a big gap, and I think Benzema did well.
Oh, he stepped up big time. He's actually a good example for the younger players like Vinicius and Rodrigo. So he's really stepped up in that regard. Yeah. And I just wonder if Ramos hadn't taken all those penalties, his goal record for Real Madrid would be higher. So
3-0. I'm surprised this comparison's gone 3-0. Shut up, Akram.
Oh yeah, I would have to say Benzema too.
All right, I feel like we're going to be torn here, and there's going to be disagreement here.
Here we go.
This is different eras.
Okay.
Roberto Baggio, Thierry Henry. They come with the different type of players.
They are different players and the different positions. So I don't know why you picked those two. That's a shit choice to make.
How are they that different? They're both attacking players.
Yeah, but Baggio is more a 10 or a second striker. Henry is an out and out.
You reckon he's a 9?
Henry, 100%. It is. Wenger transformed him to be a 9.
So who would you compare Baggio with? Bergkamp?
Yeah, I would compare Baggio to a Bergkamp.
And who do you think is better?
Fuck off. bro. What a stupid question. Why would you
All
fucking
right,
ask me that?
let's change it around.
Don't change it.
No,
Baggio and Henry.
Why are they both Arsenal players? But you're trying to fucking put me on the spot.
No, I'm trying to get a fair comparison. If you say that Baggio and
Interesting.
Henry is not a fair comparison, let's do Baggio and Bergkamp.
It's biased, bro. You know what I'm gonna say. It's so biased.
All
I
right,
can't-
let's look at
I
Baggio.
can't, bro. Like I can overlook my bias for Van Nistelrooy. I can't overlook my bias for fucking Bergkamp.
That's another
And
level.
what are you gonna compare goals?
It's another level.
Did Bergkamp blow you or something? Or?
Fucking hell, bro. It's like you and Chilavert, bro. He's fucking kissed his gloves before he was.
No, but I know there's better keepers than Chilavert out there. I know Buffon and Casillas are better.
I'm not saying Bergkamp's the best player in history. I've
If
got a
you're
soft spot
comparing-
for him.
All right, Roberto Baggio. In total, 490 appearances, 220 goals. So once again, you said he's not an in-and-out striker.
Yeah.
He won the Ballon d'Or. He was a national idol. He did jump around a few different clubs in Italy, but I think
He missed the penalty in '94 World Cup final.
But
You
are we
gotta
going to
say-
punish
you
him?
gotta
Are
say-
we going to punish him
No.
constantly because of that penalty?
No, but you're just saying notable things. I'm just saying something notable. I don't know why you're getting upset.
I think it's unfair to keep bringing that up when
That's
you're
probably the most talked about missed penalty I've ever seen in my
Yeah.
football. Like I don't know, it just felt like something about everyone talking about missed penalties and never Baggio.
I was watching a cooking documentary, like a chef documentary,
Oh God,
and the chef
Why?
who had an event at the Rose Bowl, whatever stadium was.
yeah.
And he goes, I remember coming here. I remember the final, and this when the Italian player missed the penalty. Even then, like fuck, it's everywhere. Like
Exactly.
poor Baggio, like he's such a great player, such a great
He'll never
career,
fucking live that down,
and he's
bro.
remembered for that one
Yeah.
penalty. Like,
He'll never live that down.
Yeah,
do you think it's
Definitely.
unfair to judge him on that pen?
No.
Of
It's
course
part of history, bro. You'll never forget it. It's like
but why?
But look at the flip side. I'll give you an example. Alois is only remembered for the penalty he scored to qualify
Yeah.
against Uruguay. Same shit. Why do you only take it when it's positive, not negative? It's just a memorable moment.
I guess because he was such a big name player and that people
Yeah,
for
but
him
you
to
just
miss
feel,
on the
you
biggest
just feel
stage.
bad for him that it's something. I just look at it as a memorable moment that's synonymous with a certain player.
Sorry, you're saying that if he was a reserve defender, like someone that's not that popular, and he missed the penalty, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But because he was Baggio, he was probably one of the biggest stars in the world at the time.
I think
That's
so.
what made it bigger than what he was.
I think so.
It's like Cristiano or Messi missing
Yeah.
a deciding penalty right now.
Yeah, I
Of
think
course,
so.
100%, bro. You're not going to forget
I
that.
think so. I think at the time,
if Messi missed, if 2014 World Cup final went to fucking penalties and Messi missed the last penalty and the other team won,
Mhm.
as if you wouldn't remember that.
I wouldn't, because
Forever.
I'll drive straight to the gap and jump.
Remember that forever. Same thing. Italians will always remember that, and everyone else.
yeah, I think at the time that he was a big name player. He was synonymous with that ponytail, the blonde
Yeah.
ponytail. So
That's right.
he had a big following at the time. And I remember growing up watching football back in the 90s, and he was one of the players that I grew up watching, and people talked about him. So, and when he did miss, I was like, oh, wow, you know.
Aken would want to argue that he was more of an idol at Fiorentina than he was at Juventus. He played only 5 games for Fiorentina, 141 for
Just
Juventus.
skip what Akram would have thought. He's not here.
He scored double the goals almost for Juventus. I think he's remembered and he's known worldwide for his work at Juventus, and I'm pretty sure he won the Ballon d'Or while being at Juventus. I know if you compare the two, Juventus is a bigger club, so you're going to get more attention.
Yeah.
But I think that's when his career sort of skyrocketed.
Yeah, but there was also talk about him years ago that there was times where he'd fall out with some coaches as well. So
Yeah,
Well, he
so
went
I
from
think
Vicenza to Fiorentina to Juventus to AC Milan to
Yeah.
Bologna to Inter
So
Milan
he was
to
kind of had that-
Brescia.
Yeah, I read his thing, and they had that documentary they did about him.
yeah,
They spoke a lot about his attitude, and a lot
Yeah.
of coaches spoke about clashes they had with him and things like that. So, I mean, he'd be a fiery character. There's no problem with that.
yeah.
I don't think that should weigh into a debate whether this player was good enough or not.
He played for 7 different Serie A clubs. Typical A-League player.
There you go.
I don't think there wasn't that
That's the way.
consistency in where he stayed at.
Yeah, well, that's why it's hard for people to remember him at.
In comparison to Bergkamp, he played for 3 clubs: Ajax, Inter, and Arsenal. He retired at Arsenal. He didn't
retire at Arsenal. Yeah,
go anywhere after Arsenal.
Fear of flying he had. as
big,
well.
big idol for Arsenal. Obviously, Dennis Bergkamp. Ajax obviously came through the academy there. Inter didn't have such a great time, and they didn't really want him there.
No.
And he was at Arsenal before Wenger. He came the year before.
Hmm.
All right, let's make this interesting.
Yeah,
Let's make this
beautiful.
interesting.
Sorry, 2 years before, 96.
A three-way comparison with Henri.
Henri, Baggio, and Bergkamp.
Henri, Baggio, Bergkamp. 3, 2, 1. Who's 1? Who's 2? Who's 3? You go first. Ian?
One being what?
The best, according to your opinion. 2 second best. Third. You go first. I go second. Then Fatalicious here. I'll have a think about it. Get cut, be angry, and then
Okay.
Here we go. Let's see this.
First of the three?
give me a third.
Third,
Starts at the bottom.
I'll say Henri.
Okay.
The fuck is wrong with you?
Henri. I told you
I'll
to
have
be
pick
angry.
for it's a
Are you
tough
fucking
one.
normal? Henri is last out of those
Okay.
two.
Next.
Out of those three.
Second.
Bergkamp.
And
Get
Baggio
the
number
fuck
1.
out of
Baggio.
here.
I don't know. I just something about Baggio.
All right.
Fuck this.
Something-
My turn.
Bro, stop the
Out of the
It's,
three.
it's subjective.
Out of
No,
the
it's not
three.
subjective. It's retarded.
Out of the three.
Bro, I've never been angry at this guy before, but what the fuck?
Right.
Bro, seriously,
Let-
pause that.
Have a breather. Have a breather because you're not getting angry
Bro,
now.
I'm gonna go ask you.
Yeah.
I'm nostalgic.
You're about to get angry now. For me, number 3, Bergkamp. Number 2, Henri. Number 1, Baggio.
You're fucked. Both of you are fucking retarded. You're actually just taking a piss now because
No,
you're
like, no,
That's
I actually
honest
feel. I know,
opinion.
it's
How
a,
do
it
you-
was a
how-
tough
Football was
one.
about opinion, and for me,
okay.
if I'm thinking,
about Dennis
wait,
Bergkamp.
I'm thinking Henri or Bergkamp. I think Henri did more world class.
Yeah.
Nothing against Bergkamp, they're fucking done.
That's fine.
But I think Baggio was one step above both of them.
Tell me how.
Yeah.
Tell me what makes Baggio better than Henri.
Apart from I'm not gonna say it's Ballon d'Or only decides who's a better player.
I can argue
But
anything
I
about
think
Ballon d'Or.
is
Ballon d'Or is
I
an
think
opinion of someone else.
I think Baggio's underrated when you talk about world stars in regards to the impact he had, the Italian icons. He was the biggest star in the toughest league for about 6 years.
Yeah,
in a
Serie A
row.
was a strong league. I think that's what made him. He was stood out. I mean,
Okay, but Henri was the best player.
I'm not saying anything against
in the
Henri.
Premier League, which was at the time the greatest league, which it currently still
And he went
is.
to Barcelona and killed it in Barcelona, and he's one of the best strikers of all time. But if you had to
look.
head to head,
that move to Arsenal for him was that catapulted his career because. And Wenger, I've got to give credit to him for transforming his career because he was a winger.
Yeah, that's right.
he
At
was a winger.
Juventus, He was a winger.
So he was a
Correct.
winger, and then for that year at Juve, it didn't work out for him. And then, look, I'll give him credit for
99,
what he
he came
did
to
for
Arsenal after
the legacy
Michael
left at Arsenal. But it's a tough like.
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
It's straightforward. Baggio at the bottom for me. Bergkamp second, Henri first.
Okay.
Oh, so you put Henri ahead of Bergkamp.
Yeah,
Okay.
Henri is ahead of Bergkamp without doubt, but purely based on their achievement. Who would I like to watch? I'd like to watch Bergkamp over Henri.
I think, yeah, of course, that's a different.
But who would I pick if I wanted to win a game? I'd pick Henri. If you said to me, you've got your 10 players and pick one up front, Henri would be the one I'd pick without a doubt, hands down.
I don't know. For me,
Henri for me, I know we'll do
it's-
something special.
Henri,
100%.
600 games, 290 goals, almost 1-2. At Arsenal, he had 254 games, 174 goals. That's a good solid
That's a
number.
great output. But I think it's a tough one because they were different players. Like Henri did turn into number 9.
Henri, yeah. After his first few years,
Yeah.
Even when he first came to Arsenal, the first year or two, Wenger already started to transition him as a striker.
Yeah.
He struggled a bit,
Hmm.
and because he had to fill Anelka's shoes, Anelka
Yeah.
had left, Henri came in, but it only took him a season or two, and he was flying after
Yeah.
that. He was flying, and he wasn't scoring shitty goals. If you go
No.
through his highlights reel, every season he's got at least 3, 4, 5 goals that are
Goal
world
season
class.
contenders.
Yeah,
Yeah.
contenders every season without a doubt. So for me, if I want to put a player in that I know is going to add to the team or is going to create something when my team's struggling or is definitely going to score a goal, whether it's a poacher's goal, an amazing goal from outside the box, a header, fucking something amazing, whatever it is, it's got to be Henri.
Look, it makes sense, complete sense. In regards to your third and second, how far apart were they?
Not very far. Very close. I said that Bergkamp would come second purely because of my bias, not statistics. That's all.
Yeah.
So that's me being fair. Statistically, Baggio would pick Bergkamp every day of the week.
Okay.
Bias,
Yeah.
I'll pick Bergkamp. That's it. But but if you're telling me to pick a striker out of the 3, I'd pick Henri.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hands down.
This is probably the toughest
Ooh.
question I've had to ask anyone,
Here we go.
and it's so
I thought
hard.
that was already fucking hard. I already got angry at this guy. I never get angry at him.
You need to.
Ronaldinho or Zidane?
Yeah, gets
Oh man,
I knew that. That's you know what. That's probably the fairest comparison we've had tonight.
very similar players.
similar in some ways. I mean, like it's when you say torn, I think it's the perfect word because they're both loved players. They're both admired by a very few people. You feel like they hate Zidane or they hate Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
Unless you're Italian, you hate Zidane.
Do you though? They won the World Cup, but I think
he had a good. He was remembered well.
I don't think they care. If France won the World Cup, different story.
Yeah,
I think they hate Materazzi more than Zidane in Italy.
Fuck Materazzi, I hate that.
Yeah, they respect Zidane so much that Materazzi was the one that copped it after.
Yeah.
He did he received the headbutt. Ronaldinho or Zidane. Darcy, for the first time in your life, trying not to be too biased on this one. Because Zidane's obviously an emblem of Real Madrid.
Admit your bias, like I don't my bias.
No, look.
Don't give me the answer yet.
No,
Give me the answer yet. Build some suspense for everyone watching at home. So
we can leave him last.
Okay, leave him last.
Obviously, he's got some bias there,
Yep.
and it's obviously Barcelona versus Real Madrid, which is really Zidane's. Well, look, Zidane had a fantastic time at Juventus, but for most people would remember him more at his time at Madrid.
To my surprise, he played more games for Real Madrid than he did for Juventus.
I'm not surprised.
He spent the same amount of seasons, 5 in each.
And he retired at an early age of 34.
Yep.
So
Just-
Benzema's age right now. And
Yeah.
Zidane retired.
I think back then it was kind of common for players to retire
Yeah,
in
in their
mid 30s. Now
There wasn't the longevity that there is now.
You're talking back then, but you're talking 15 years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
it
Still,
seems like yesterday, but
Things have
it is
developed very quickly though in football.
Ryan Giggs played when he was like 41 or something.
Yeah, but he was getting action on the sides that kept him young and sprightly.
Saying his brother's wife gave him a job.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Fucking
That's
going.
for episode 69 right there.
Kept
That's
them
episode
going.
69
Kept them
material right there.
Oh, gigs.
I don't think that is going to come to the episode. Sorry, guys, I'm out for this one.
Akram's prepping for it.
Get the right guess for this one.
Some groupie we need as a special guest. Ronaldinho. So he played for 3, 6, 8 different clubs. The last one was just 7 games. But he did win the Champions League. He did win the Copa Libertadores. He did win a World Cup. He played at PSG. He played at Barcelona where he won the Ballon d'Or. Look, I'm going to put it out there. Probably the most exciting player to watch in the history of football.
Yeah.
When you go watch highlights, you go watch Ronaldinho. And as a kid, you try to imitate him, but you couldn't.
Oh, look, for me, like a bias aside, I love watching Ronaldinho play football. He was absolutely amazing. And that signing the Barcelona did to get him in 2003, but in a time when they were in a terrible state, just as bad as now. Maybe not financially, but in terms of football wise, he just galvanized that team. And,
sorry to cut you off there.
Yeah.
That's a very good point you bring up. So in 03, Barca were at a low point.
Yeah,
They bring Ronaldinho in. 2 years later, no, 3 years later, they win the Champions League.
Yeah.
How much of a turning point? Because from there, everything escalated and they became the club that they were now in the last 15 years. How much of a turning point was bringing Ronaldinho into the club for the whole history of the club?
Huge turning point, massive. That and Rijkaard also being at the helm, he transformed that club there. And also that season, they were playing UEFA Cup football then. They were in the Champions League. So they had finished outside the top 4 spots for the 02-03 season. They got Ronaldinho and they were struggling that his first season. And then all of a sudden they get Edgar Davids on loan from Inter. That helped them as well. And then they just kept winning game after game. And Real, I remember that Galactica team just crumbled that season. And he got him up to 2nd spot. And then after that, they signed Etoo and Messi came through. He made his debuts. And then, that was the golden era for
They
Barcelona.
had Deco as well.
Deco came along after Porto's win.
There was a lot
Then
of
Broncos.
Yep,
There was a
Henrik
lot of,
Larsson.
there was a lot of flair players
Yeah.
coming through at that time.
Yeah.
And I read a few things about, Messi coming in under Ronaldinho or,
Yeah.
Ronaldinho really ushered in that Messi era.
Yeah.
So he clearly had a massive impact at Barcelona.
Yeah.
That creativity
Yeah.
flowed because then you had all these other players come after him,
Yeah.
the Iniestas and the Xavis and really the Barcelona style that
Yeah.
that they're synonymous with now that people know.
Yeah.
Really grew from there because, as you said before, that Barcelona were really struggling
Yeah.
as a club. They're not the big club that they were now. They're obviously one of the biggest clubs in Spain, but
They started.
prior to that, he was really the catalyst, I believe, for a lot of change
He was.
for Barcelona.
Definitely.
He's only 41 now.
But I'd take him in the A-League. Fucking rip people
That's
up.
the thing. I feel like with him, we didn't get to enjoy him as much as we wanted to. Like, he
Oh,
just,
right,
what?
you didn't get to enjoy him, but he definitely enjoyed himself.
oh, like, yeah, of course, like as in, yeah, as fans, like of course, he was living it up. He won everything, and he was,
It was that typical Brazilian joga bonito, enjoying football.
yeah,
Sort of thing.
Party,
Yeah,
alcohol,
party,
girls.
party always after games. It's a typical Brazilian thing where they just have fun with their football and that, which is great because for non-football fans, if you said Zidane or Ronaldinho, someone that doesn't watch football and can't appreciate, things that players do, it's going to be Ronaldinho all day of the week because it's very easy to look. It's very easy on the eye. I can see when he's doing something flair, something tricky, a rainbow flick, beating someone, doing the elastico, beating a player. It's easy on the eye. It's nice to see. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Zidane had that in his locker, but Zidane was very efficient, very clever player, very smart, could pick a pass.
Yeah.
A non-footballing person wouldn't appreciate Zidane picking a good pass or his positioning or his reading of the game. It's very hard unless you analyze football like that. So I'm going to see it. So in that sense, they're contrasting players, but in terms of the impact they had on football, they both had massive impacts.
they did,
And that's why I say this comparison is very, very tough.
Yeah,
Zidane only played for 4 clubs. I
Yeah.
mean, he wasn't much of a goal scorer.
that wasn't really his
Well, we
job
don't
to score
expect him
goals.
to be. He was a midfield
But the
maestro.
goal he scored was we remember for a long time.
Yeah.
He
And
played
could-
over 500 games.
The difference with those players for me, Zidane could control the game.
Yeah.
Ronaldinho didn't control the game. Ronaldinho made things happen. Zidane, if he needed to control a game or if it was a difficult game or needed to slow things down or hold on to the ball or whatever it was, Zidane was the player for that.
Yeah.
Cannes, Bordeaux, Juventus, and Real Madrid. Obviously, Juventus, Real Madrid playing most of his career.
Yeah.
Like we said, retired at the age of 34 and got into coaching a few years later.
Yeah.
Was the World Cup final his last ever game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Last
So he
professional game.
retired
Yep.
from Real Madrid.
Yeah, that
everything.
red card
That
was
image-
his red
That
card
image of
was
him walking
The
past the World
headbutt
Cup
was the
trophy.
last thing he's ever
and him
given.
walking past the
It's
trophy. yeah.
crazy. We spoke about this and they said it's very disappointing
Yeah.
as football fans for that to be how his legacy ended or his career would
Yeah.
end. But he came out of retirement for that World Cup because he had retired, and obviously France were they Raymond Dominic at the
Yeah.
time was struggling
It was
to
shambles.
qualify, and they practically begged him to come out of
Him-
retirement.
It was him, Makalele, and Turan all had retired after the Euro 2004, and they were struggling in the qualifiers. And they needed an SOS. Like the 3 of them came through, and they got them through to the World Cup.
Yeah, pretty much made all the way to the final.
And I remember that tournament. We probably discussed it before that they struggled in the group stage, and then Zidane just lifted up to what we know, seeing what he does best. And
All right, guys, it's time.
Yeah.
Time for the tough call. If you had to pick one in your team, who would you pick? Who do you think is better, for lack of a better word? You know what, you went last time, so you start this one.
Fuck, I don't know. It's difficult. It's fuck. There's so many variables here, but I would have to pick. As much as I love Ronaldinho, I'd have to pick Zidane, purely because I feel like Zidane can offer me something else in midfield that Ronaldinho may not be able to. Going forward, Ronaldinho will be more exciting and can create something out of nothing. But if I really want to control the game and a leader, it will be Zidane. Zidane's a combination of things that Ronaldinho may not offer.
Darcy.
very tough. Don't like to pick one or the other, but I think it'd have to be Zidane for me. And one particular game that stands out for me was that quarterfinal at 2006 World Cup, France versus Brazil.
It's crazy. It's crazy that was his last tournament. Did he win Player of the Tournament?
He did, but no one talks about it because of that red card that he got.
But isn't that like crazy? Because you see players towards the end of their career diminish and like play for lower clubs, play for other. Zidane left football being the best player in a World Cup tournament. Like that sounds crazy. Why didn't you play a year or two more?
But that game, that quarterfinal was mentioned. If anyone's not seen it on YouTube, go and watch it. That was the Zidane masterclass.
Why don't you? I don't know if he's ever spoken about this. I don't know if he's ever done an interview. But why don't go back to France, play a season or two, play in a club you've played before, Cannes or Bordeaux, and still play your career a bit longer?
Feels like he'd retire at the highest level with the club.
I think Zidane's the kind of player that it ended, and he probably wasn't happy with how it ended, and didn't want to go back again. it sort of bring up memories or people talk about it or sort of prolong that discussion. I don't know. He just seems like the kind of person who doesn't like that spotlight. So
he's a very shy guy.
He would have been embarrassed by it. He would have been disappointed by it, being sent off in that, because really we spoke about this before, but Zidane doesn't get sent off. I would have tipped France.
Mm-hmm.
I would have tipped France.
They actually had upper hand that game.
Yeah, I would, even if they went to penalties, Zidane takes a penalty. That leadership aspect of him, I think it could have been completely different.
Panenka in that final.
That's disgusting.
Look,
how do you do that? I don't know.
As tough as it is, and I do have to pick one. I grew up watching both of these players.
Yeah.
Once again, footballing wise only, I'm going to have to go with Zidane as well.
Yeah.
But it's taking nothing away from Ronaldinho, watching his highlights, watching him as a player. You watch a game just because he's there.
Yeah.
There's very few players that ever played the game that are like Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
And it's an unfair comparison because Zidane is one of the best players of all time.
Yeah.
But it's probably, like I said, Ronaldinho is probably the most exciting player to ever play. Take away maybe Messi now.
Yeah.
But Zidane is, for me, I used to want to play like Zidane. I try to imitate him on the field with the ball.
Yeah.
Ronaldinho I couldn't even do the things Ronaldinho did, so I didn't bother.
Yeah.
Ronaldinho, I think when you watch him, you expect him to do something. When the
Yeah.
ball comes on, he doesn't do something. It's like, no, he needs to do something.
Yeah.
It's not good enough. Like now with Messi, they give the ball to Messi, they expect something to happen.
Yeah.
Same thing with Ronaldinho. He got the ball, you expected something special.
Yeah.
You've expected him to freaking flip the ball off a guy's head and do bicycle kick or some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he did that more than any other player that anyone can ever think of.
Oh yeah.
But very, very, very tough one, Johnny.
Very tough.
Fucking slack.
But good.
Well, I wanted to leave on the high note.
Yeah.
Slack
I
ass.
wanted to leave on a very tough one, and I think it's unfair
Yeah.
that it's 3-0 Zidane
Yeah.
because it doesn't reflect on what kind of player Dino was.
Yeah.
Any last comments, guys?
Oh, good episode. Good comparisons. Fadi wasn't too happy with one of them.
Fucking hell, I'm so disappointed. I thought this was going to be a fucking smooth episode, and then this guy throws in a fucking shit.
I don't know.
I want to hear from anyone. Any other comparisons you guys have? Anything that you think it's tough or you disagree with us? Let us know. Comment on YouTube, Instagram. Send us a message. Let us know what you guys think.
You're going to get bombarded with messages. Not
From Arsenal.
Me. Not from me.
Arsenal fan.
Not from
Arsenal
me.
TV.
Especially you.
Serie A fans.
Put his handle up. Fucking some people tag him.
See you guys. See you next time. Bye bye.